She said, Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be a singer, like Whitney Houston.
Whitney was very glamorous. Oh, God, you talk about Whitney from the time she got up to the time she went to sleep.
Whitney was kind of like her model of what a singer should be like.
She wanted to sing like her. She wanted to get where she was, and that motivated her.
This was very serious to her because she really started working and honing her skills, and everything that Whitney did, she was right on it.
I believe the children are future.
I believe the children are future. Brandy used to always sing that song. That was like her anthem.
When Brandy latched on to Whitney Houston, that accelerated her expectations of herself.
Whitney was her model of what she could become.
I said, you know what, Brandy, that's a tall order. You know, but if that's what you want to do, then we'll try to help you to get there.
I met Brandy around '89. I was an independent producer, and we were auditioning these kids, and she started singing. And I went. We started producing music for her right away. She would come into the recording session, and she knew all her background parts. I mean, real intricate parts.
I had a little 4-track mixer, and she learned how to take the recorder and record her voice and dub herself over and over and over again.
She was a professional at 10 years old. And after a while, we started working with her. She started saying, you're off. we were like, we're the producers. You don't tell us we're off. I started shopping her around. I went to everybody.
To Motown, to MCA, to Atlantic.
Record company after record company after record company. And she was telling me she was going to get a record deal, and it didn't come.
I was sitting in a meeting with some executives. They were listening to it, and then they said, she does too many of those roles. You know that, they passed on her.
You just keep moving on because you know in your heart it's going to happen.
Let's get up for Miss Brandy Norwood. Let's get up for her.
Instead of shopping the demo, Brandy would just sing live. That was what she could really, really do. She loved the attention, and she just couldn't get enough of being that person that people want to see.
Those showcases never really turned out to be anything big until we did the Black Family Reunion.
I was in the dressing room, and I heard this voice of a young girl singing The Greatest Love of All. At the time, I was the music director for Whitney Houston. She knew every musician in Whitney's band. She knew them all by name. Remember the show you did? You remember the song you did? She was just beside herself that she was this close to Whitney.
Ricky Minor promised Brandy that he was going to introduce her to Whitney. I remember she was at a concert and they had given us tickets.
It was like that whole day, I'm going to see Whitney, I'm going to see Whitney. She was all dressed up, all cute and everything.
But the tickets that they had given us was like at the top of the forum.
Were people about that small?
Brandy worked her way down with every usher.
She would tell people, look, my name is Brandy. I'm going to be famous one day. If you let me down, I remember you.
She talked herself down to backstage where she could yell out Ricky Minor's name from a distance. And he recognized her and told her to come to the front. And then she comes back out and she's in so many tears. And I asked her what happened. And she says that they told her that Whitney was too tired and that she couldn't see her tonight.
Daddy, she said, I just cried.
I said, Brandy, don't worry. You're going to meet her on a level where she will always remember who you are.
I represented a young group of boys named Immature. and they were doing a talent show, and Brandy was in the talent show. Brandy sung exceptionally well.
Chris Stokes wanted to manage Brandy.
And I wanted to actually sign her to a production contract.
Chris Stokes brought her into the immature group. She would just sing background. This little taste of being on stage, it helped her visualize what she was going to be one day.
Now we got to introduce y'all to a girl coming out. Brandy! Show me the...
me kind, sweet destiny.
Yeah, put your hands
Brandy always told me, Chris, you have to work with me. I'm going to be this big star. I'm the one.
But his focus was immature. And I would constantly tell him, you're really missing out, because the person that you really should be focusing on is Brandy. But no one heard me.
Give me the cake before you eat it.
I gave Brandy her first acting job. I worked on a show called We're Family, which I wrote and created. It was all about this family who, lost their parents, who decided to live together in an apartment.
She definitely speaks for herself, don't she? Hey, sugar, you better watch those smart remarks. One day you gonna choke on it.
The only way I'll be choking is if I eat any of that nasty-looking cake, Miss Ann.
I thought that the concept was very good, but it didn't turn out to be.
Oh, Brandy.
Hollywood High is a performing arts magnet school, and we provide an enriched program in theater, dance, voice.
She wanted to go to a performing arts school someplace to help her enhance her skills that she had.
Brandy was a very, very ambitious student.
She always gave off the image of being so sure of herself.
She knew what she wanted to do, and she had a plan.
She had a sassiness to her. Like when you met her, she would say, "You don't know who I am? My name is Brandy."
Very forward.
And people couldn't stand you for that.
Brandy didn't have any friends at Hollywood.
Girls just didn't like her.
Kids calling her names.
They would call her Pippi because her mom used to braid her hair and put barrettes on the end.
It wasn't easy for her at all.
They'd tease her about a lot of stuff, about her clothes and her hair and her eyes, being really big and wide and distinctive.
To be misunderstood by your peers, I think it takes a blow out of anyone.
She started getting girls wanting to fight her, and it was getting kind of out of control.
She would come home and say, "Oh my God, these girls are after me."
Brandy and I had the same guidance counselor at Hollywood High, Mrs. D.
She used to pop in all the time.
She would go to Miss D and ask for different parts for plays and auditions.
We get called all the time from casting agents, from agents who are looking for people to represent, because they know that we have a talent pool. This one call happened to be for a drop-dead gorgeous black girl a la Vanessa Williams. And I said, well, I've got maybe two. And Brandy came into my office and she said, Ms. D, she says, how come you didn't send me out on that interview? And I said, well, Brandy, because you're not drop-dead gorgeous. She said, what do you mean? I said, you're cute. I said, but you're not Vanessa Williams drop-dead gorgeous.
Ladies would never send her out like she did the other girls because they said she wasn't pretty enough, and that hurt her.
I can only tell it like I see it.
When Brandy came home and told me that her counselor told her that she wasn't drop-dead gorgeous, I wish I could say what I wanted to do on camera.
Isn't that terrible? You're not pretty enough.
If you're living in a glass house, don't throw no stones.
Who are you to say what's beauty, you know?
This is my niece we're talking about here.
I try to be really upfront with my kids.
Mean people. You got mean people in this world.
I try not to overreact about it.
He is way more spiritual than I am. He could always find a logical, reasonable scripture and calmness to deal with the situation. Whereas me, on the other hand, no. I do not want to hear that. They mess with my kids. Somebody's got to pay. End of story, and let's get it on.
You have to stand back sometimes and not react to anything, but let your children learn.
She left the school, honestly, because it wasn't giving her what she needed.
She was only with us for about a year.
I knew that she was going to discover something that was unique about her.
One of the things that we've always said, cream always rise